What's up, everybody? Psych Out back at you with another tournament replay video. This time it is a grand tournament replay, and this time it's with a different deck. So I thought it would be interesting to show this one because it's not a Reaper deck this time. And it's an interesting deck that I got the idea from one of my clan mates, and then I made a modification to it, and it got us 10 wins in a row and a win in the grand tournament. Let's see here. Let's show you where. Well, we'll just start here with the chest. So I haven't actually opened it yet, so we'll see what we get. And one reason to play tournaments is because if you do win them, you get lots and lots of cards, which you can either use to donate for gold or you can use to improve your cards. Okay, 2 boneyards. That's pretty awesome. And 2,000 more gold. Oh, we've got some more commons, bomb, and skeletons. Okay. So this is our third. Third? 1, 2, 3? Yeah, I think this is our third grand tournament win. Okay, how do I get this off the screen? I don't know. Go away. Okay, there we go. And we also have one master tournament win. So, wow, look at the scores are really going up today. Lots of people pushing. So this puts us at 12th place right now. To get in the top 10, I would need another grand tournament win, but I think people are going to be pushing pretty hard. Let's see. Pex from New World has got himself up into second place now. But Romain, as usual and as always, has a clear lead with 104. That's 5 master tournaments and 4 grand tournaments that he's won so far. Pretty impressive. Okay, so let's go back and replay the deck I was playing. I will show, like we've done in the past, I'll show you all 10 of the games. I did win all 10 in a row this time. I have to admit, I've tried many times with Reaper decks and other kinds of variations of decks just for fun, and I settled on this deck here after one of my clanmates had recently won with a slightly different version of this deck. I can just tell you now, the big difference was that in my deck I put in the Standard Bearer. My clanmate had the Skeleton's Legion, and I think he won a master tournament with it. In any case, I found the Standard Bearer to be more useful, and you'll see that in this video here. So this is the deck, or you saw the deck there that we were playing with. And so the basic, it's just a big skeleton spam deck, except it does not have a lot of people play skeleton spam decks with the Spectre. We don't have the Spectre. Instead here our goal is to win with overpowered skeletons from the Skull Queen, and just to use our spam cards. And you'll see that this actually works pretty well. I don't know how well it's going to work in like regular games. I'm not sure, but in the tournament it works really well. And look, one thing that makes the tournament different that a lot of people don't get, and maybe it doesn't make a difference. I was a little unlucky there with the yeah. So this game was actually one of the harder games. He's basically killed all of my skeletons so far, and he's got 2 wins in the deck. So, but the tournament, everybody's a level 9 castle, and what that means is the level 9 castle health, which is pretty low. Here I decided to try to just do something to slow down his attack, and unfortunately it didn't work. I kind of forgot how pathetic the... Okay, so that worked out really well because the dragon had to go back. And now you'll see why I had the Standard Bearer in the deck, because I wanted to do that right there. Now my opponent does have the Wind, which they played, and this is a mistake. My opponent definitely should have lightning bolted one of the Skull Queens, because now my skeletons are getting double power, which is just insane. But the reason there you saw that I had the Standard Bearer in the deck was because I wanted to avoid the dragon. Okay, so what I was saying about the tournament is that level 9 castle means you're level 9 castle health. That means doing damage really quickly really pays off, because in regular games you might be able to do 9,000 points of damage, but your opponent still has maybe 1 to 3,000 health left on their castle and has gotten control of the game, and you can't do anything and you lose. In the tournament, it's already over. It's already too late, and that's the whole idea behind this deck that I'm playing here, is that it's going to go for the kill, and it's going to go for the kill quickly. That was actually one of the longer games, as you'll see, that we played with this deck. Okay, so a question here is whether or not you should play the crystal. I always play 1 crystal If I have a second crystal, I don't always play it. There's other ways to play this here. You could go Mana Ritual and throw out the Skull Queen right away, but then you wouldn't get as many skeletons on the board. I think this deck benefits most from lots and lots of skeletons. As you'll see, a lot of my opponents have arrows, and see here, my opponent really has no choice but to play arrows, even though I have more skeletons coming, because if they don't, they're going to be so low on health by the time my other skeletons get there that it's just going to be over. Okay, now here's kind of a neat little play. My Skull Queen dies, but so does his Black Witch, so I use the Resurrection to bring everybody, to bring the Skull Queen back, which is powering up my skeletons, which is basically going to just finish my opponent off here. Even though, again, they got another arrow, but I've just got too many skeletons, and there's really nothing my opponent can do about it. Here we get the Standard Bearer, which I could have went with. I guess I should have went with. I don't know why I didn't do it now. Here, finally, I woke up and realized, oh yeah, just play the Standard Bearer and win the game. And so that's what we did there. And that's kind of the way the Standard Bearer works in this deck, unlike in Reaper decks where you might play it a little early. And this one, you kind of want to burn it if you get it early on and play it late, because it really throws your opponent off. They don't expect it to be coming, and you can go for a quick kill. Okay, so that was game 2. So game 3, we played Lopez Lancer, who has been playing a lot of tournaments. I've played him a lot in the tournament so far, and so have my clanmates. So here we go again, and so he's been playing a Reaper deck, a pretty standard Reaper deck, one similar to what I've won with before and what Romaine's been winning with. And so here I'm going to go for the quick, the quick Skull Queen. And okay, so he has arrows, and then he has wind, so that kind of stinks. But I do have my Skull Queen out, and it's going to be difficult for him to deal with that. And I was waiting for him to Standard Bearer here. I was a little surprised he didn't, because I thought he was going to Standard Bearer, and then I was going to use my Standard Bearer to go to whatever lane he went to. Here, not quite clear why he didn't have use the protection early, because that would have made a big difference in the game. And so here's where we can bring all the skeletons back with Resurrection. And now the Skull King hits the board, and when the Skull King hits the board and you've got the Queen out there, you're in really good shape. And I also have my Standard Bearer ready, and so he blocks that lane, and we just switch lanes and go for the kill. So that was round 3. 1, 2, 3, and in round 4 we played somebody who I have to admit I didn't know who this person was. Never played this person before. And so here again I decide, there's a lot of early choices with this deck if you get the mana cards, and I won't pretend to say that I mean, this is the first time I played it. I played 3 games with this deck before. I mean, I played 3 tournament games with this deck, and lost in that round, and then I went all the way through. And actually, it was not even this deck I played with. I think I'm actually undefeated with this deck, because this is the one I added the standard bearer to. The previous version did not have the Standard Bearer. Okay, so we gotta definitely kill that. Here, I probably could have played the Standard Bearer to try to kill that Phoenix before it did more damage. My opponent should have tried to save it. They did, but it was too late. And you just see what happens here. My opponent's just overwhelmed. Now, they could play arrows. He's waiting. He's waiting for the other skeletons to get there, but that's just too long. You can wait for the other skeletons to get there to try to get your maximum efficiency out of your arrows, but by the time you do, you're out of castle health. So that strategy doesn't work very well. You really need to play the arrows as fast as you can often against these decks. But the problem with my deck is there's just more skeletons coming. So that was round 4. Round 5, we played another opponent I had not played before. This opponent's playing a deck that's been pretty popular here. It's what I call a skeleton deck. It's the old version of the spam deck, but it's basically the basic idea is to play skeletons, get lots of skeletons on the board, and then throw down a giant specter. You'll see I used the double mana ritual to get the Skull King, and I waited just a second because I wanted my opponent's skeletons to get in with an arrow range so I could take them down with the arrows. I figured at this point my opponent's probably playing a Spectre deck, so I know I want to kill whatever's on the board as fast as I can because they want to play a giant Spectre. And by eliminating what's on the board, now they probably think I'm playing a Spectre deck too. Here I go for the Skull Queen because when you've got her out, you're in really good shape. And let's see, I think here is where another advantage of using the Standard Bearer. I don't want my Skull Queen to die. Normally I would wait a little longer, but I don't want her to die, so let's keep her out there. And again, the ridiculous card Boneyard here, there's just nothing my opponent can do. You just threw 6 skeletons into the top lane at random, and then there's nothing the opponent can do there. So that was game 5. As I said, a lot of these games went really fast. This is round 6. Against, I think, as I said, when I won the Master Tournament, I ran into a lot of opponents I had not heard of or had not seen before. As it turns out, a lot of those opponents actually do have relatively decent trophy levels from that Master Tournament I won, but these, I don't think that's the case. So here, it's like the all-skeleton draw. My opponent got pretty good draw, I think, for them with the double, getting the Storm Elemental and then getting to replicate it. But you'll see the skeletons have no problem taking it out. And there my opponents used arrows. Okay, that's fine. And here my opponent has a Black Witch. But what are you going to do with that? I don't know. They played a statue in a weird position. I have no idea why. And now when the Skull Queen comes, you saw my opponent gave the cry face, and that's about all my opponent can do because it's all over. So that was round 6, I think. 10, 9, 8, 7. Yeah, so then we got Lopez Lancer again in round 7. Again, this was a player that's known, is actually pretty good, and I knew the player had been playing the Reaper deck. Now the thing is that I think the first game I played against Lopez Lancer, he was probably thrown off because I had been playing so many Reaper decks throughout the tournament, and now that I switched decks, I don't think my opponent realized that I was going to be playing something different here. Here I'm going to go for the Mana Ritual, and I want to kill that Storm Elemental really quickly. Again, my opponent does a nice job saving the Storm Elemental, at least temporarily. And I am going to go ahead and try to kill that Storm Elemental with more skeletons. And this time we're successful. And he throws the, what is that, the Hollow Knight up there, which would normally lose, but he also got out the Reaper, so he was able to save it, but now he's kind of out of cards. I mean, this is still a tricky spot because if he gets a protection down, I'm going to be worried, but I had the arrows, and that's pretty much game over. Got all those skeletons at the castle. Notice that this deck does include the perhaps rather odd-seeming Valkyrie. I don't know if you should try to go for a quick Valkyrie with like mana rituals, if that makes a lot of sense to do with this deck or not. One thing you have to think about is with the card Boneyard, you really need cards in your hand. So if you expend all of your mana cards very quickly, then Boneyard won't get you that many creatures out there. So I don't know if a quick mana ritual for her is good. But the reason I have her in here is because she does do area damage, so she helps me with skeletons, like you saw there in that example, and she obviously lowers the cost of getting cards out. And for a spam deck like this, if I can fire out a bunch of cards really quickly, that's pretty nice. So that was round 7, and here is round 8. Your Lord is pretty known to me. One of his accounts is in the Alpha Project 3 clan, and so I've played many games against him, and I can guarantee you Your Lord assumed I was playing a Reaper deck here, and he assumed I was playing the Boneyard Reaper deck because that's one of the decks that I've played for a long time, and he knows that I've played it. He knows I've won the tournament with it. So far, everything I've played looks like I'm playing a Boneyard Reaper deck, except now I play a Crystal. I don't know if he would have noticed that or not. Here, I decide to go ahead and resurrect my skeletons. And now, at this point, he must be thinking, what? This is a very different deck. I play the mana ritual, and then I'm going to go ahead and throw out my whatever the heck she's called. A new card, Valkyrie, that's it. And there, finally I get the Skull Queen, which is the card I was really looking for, and the skeletons take the hit from the Reaper. The Valkyrie dies, everything dies, and it's like, oh man, this isn't really great, but again, my opponents had to use everything, and I knew the Skull King was coming because I haven't had him yet, and so, as you'll see here, now my opponent does get out the most difficult card for us to deal with is the Executioner, which is why I have the Standard Bearer in the deck. And again, this was, Your Lord is not an easy opponent to beat. Thankfully, the Skull Queen's there, so we can deal with some of these things and get more damage from our skeletons. As you'll see here, we barely end up winning this game. But that's, I mean, we took very little castle health, but we were in real danger there. The Executioners are quite dangerous, and that's why I have the Standard Bearer in the deck, to try to avoid Executioners when they're out on the board. So that was round 8, very tough match. There's round 9 against Paco 68, and look, this is definitely true. I'm going to say something, and I don't know, Castle Crush might deny it or whatever, but it's a fact. Everybody who plays knows. In the tournaments, when you get into the late rounds, the reason it takes a long time to find games is because they are trying to match you up with tough opponents. Because Castle Crush wants you to spend gems on continues, and the late rounds continues are the most expensive. So here I've got to get rid of that Storm Elemental before it gets too strong. Heals it, but that's just those skeletons are going to take it out. And yeah, there we go. So there is a bit of a problem for us here in that middle lane. I'm going to go ahead and resurrect, make him use another Inferno somewhere if he wants, and he does. I'm trying to think how I'm going to deal with this middle lane. Okay, so now I decide, here we go, we're going to go Skull Queen, and she's not going to have any problems with that Unchained Demon, no matter how big it gets or how many heals it has. Those skeletons are ruthless. And so here we were also able to turn that. Again, the Skull Queen is so powerful. That's what this deck sort of recognizes, is that the Skull Queen has so much power. Okay, and so there is, my opponent did a nice job and stopped us in some ways, and I should have played the Standard Bearer. I don't know what I was doing, but I got another Skull Queen, and at this point, now I'm going to go Standard Bearer eventually here. There we go, and it's all over. Okay. So, look, the thing I'm saying about the tournaments is in the late rounds, they match you with people who have high trophy counts. And the idea is that one of you will not, and it doesn't matter what round they're in. They don't have to be in a late round. They could be in round 1, and they'll match you with somebody with a high trophy count so that they will increase the likelihood that you'll lose in the late rounds, and you'll have to replay either from the beginning. Either way, it costs you more gems, and the more gems you spend, the more money Castle Crush makes, because gems usually cost money. And so that's what they do. You can guarantee in the late rounds you're going to play big opponents. And look at my last 3 opponents. The early rounds I was playing people I'd never heard of. Now I've played Your Lord, I've played Paco 68, and Monster from Angry Bulls. These are all known opponents. They're known for high trophy counts. I don't remember off the top of my head what their trophy counts are, but I would be surprised if any of them was less than 6,000. Probably more like 6,500 or more trophies. And I suspect, again, if Monster knew me, I don't know if Monster knows me or not. And I remembered playing Monster before, not in this tournament, but in previous tournaments or in previous games. But I didn't really remember what deck he was playing. But I didn't really care because I was going to play my deck anyway. So he saves the Phoenix. The Phoenix is kind of an annoying card for us. But look at all the skeletons. I mean, it's just, and what's my opponent going to do? Okay, he can freeze, but, and I've got the Standard Bearer, and I go here, and that's going to be it. Nothing my opponent can do, so I get a flawless victory in round 10. So this deck is, I think it really surprises a lot of people. It's very strong. It's very strong in the tournament. I don't know how they'll play in regular games. But in the tournament, it is very powerful because, again, just to show you what the deck is, it attacks the castle really quickly. And when castle's health is only level 9, speed really matters. So, Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.